Welcome, everybody. I have a special treat for you guys today. The authors of a new book called The Ancestors Within, Reveal and Heal the Ancient Memories You Carry. They are here with me today to talk about ancestral healing, and just you guys wait until you hear about this. You guys, reading this book took me to kind of another level of possibility when it comes to healing. I am so excited to be introducing you to the amazing authors and master teachers who stepped up in this book. They are offering you their authentic stories of who they are and what they do and why they do it. But then they go a step further and they teach you a practical tool to help you on this ancestral healing journey. So please help me welcome Rivka Markel, Jen Pisano, James Kawainui, and Elizabeth Kipp to the show. Welcome, you guys.
Hi.
Thanks for having us.
Oh, my pleasure. So you guys, Rivka Markel is a clearing facilitator who helps women detach from past experiences using holistic tools. Jen Pisano is the CEO of Gypsy Moon Incorporated, where she teaches women how to walk their path more fiercely. James Kawanui is a Native American. It's close, isn't it? Native Hawaiian healer whose passion and commitment is helping people live pain-free, purpose-filled lives. And Elizabeth Kipp is an ancestral clearing practitioner, chronic pain management specialist, and yoga-informed and trauma-trained addiction recovery coach. And of course, I have you guys hooked up with their websites down in the show notes, so you will be able to find them. Okay, Rivka, you're up first, goddess. Tell
Thank
everybody.
you for the honor to kick it off. I'm really excited about this because when I got the opportunity for this book, a whole can of worms opened up. So I wrote chapter 21, and it is called Turning Curses into Blessings, Discovering the Hidden Gems that our ancestors are giving us. And it was so unbelievably how the timing was amazing, because I just went through a whole thing that I understood so much more about what my ancestors were telling me that I never wanted to hear. My whole life, I was all about not wanting to know what they were telling me, because I thought I had nothing to do with that. They were just in my life because they gave birth. My mother gave birth to me. My father was there, my grandparents, but that was it. That was the end. And I didn't want to have anything to do with what they were teaching me. And so now I'm in my 50s, and I see, when I look in the mirror, my mother. And everything I do, like now when I see myself, and it's probably also because we see a lot of ourselves on screens right now. So I see myself doing things and I'm like, wait a minute, that's my mother. How can that be? And so that was like so in my face. I'm like, how can I be the same? We don't even talk to each other lately. So it is very interesting. And it was also very funny that my daughter, I have 5 kids, 4 girls, one boy. And one of my kids, she says, Mom, when I look at you, it is scary. You're just like grandma. I'm like, really? That needs to be added on top of everything. Oh my God. And so I'm a true believer of, when things are happening, they're always happening. They're happening for a reason. So I wanted to know more about this. What was this telling me? And so I discovered that I could have done myself a big favor if I would have been capable and gone out of my own way and really looked at what my ancestors were telling me when I was younger. And I could have probably made less mistakes, let me put it that way. And again, that's also good. And we are, where we're supposed to be. It's all fine. But it was very interesting. And so also I looked at my grandmother's patterns and my grandfather and everything that was going on. But more, I looked at what I didn't like about them. And so whatever it was that I wrote down, like, I was like, let me look at my mother. What is it that is really triggering me? Let me look at my dad. What is really triggering me? And then if I'm brutally honest, it's who I am. And so it was such an eye-opener for me. And it really shook me up. And so we're all like home right now, and our life is completely upside down, and everybody's thinking about a lot of stuff. And so I always believe that everything has two sides, the front and the back. So when I see my mother and I see what I don't like, there has to be a good side to it too. And so I also got in touch with what I like about her. And I wasn't so overwhelmed anymore with all the things that I didn't like and that I thought were bad. And I didn't want to be like her. And I wrote about it, like I absolutely didn't want to be as crazy as my mother. But now that I see it later, she wasn't crazy. She wasn't. It was just because I didn't understand. So I got so many answers. And also, I guess because I'm much older now, and I also have grown-up children. So I have children that had my age when I started revolting against her. And so now everything makes so much more sense. And I feel like the gift of understanding is so powerful, because now I spoke about it with my daughters in the same way that I would have. They also have things about me that they don't like. And so we could talk about it. It was something like being in this book and having this chapter was not only healing for me, it also healed, I think, our whole lineage in a way, because we were able to talk about it. And on top of that, I hope that whatever we discovered, that it also can help the reader get faster through this whole I like it, I don't like it like paradigm. Like we think that we like all the things that our grandparents are triggering in us, that it is bad, and it's not. And so this was the gem, the hidden gem, like to understand that whatever they are teaching me, the good and the bad, is helping me grow, is helping me becoming the person that I am supposed to be. And I just regret that I didn't do it faster. And again, it's all good, it's all wonderful. And I just hope that people can take that little piece that I took out of it and then implement it in their own life. That would be wonderful.
Yes, thank you so much. Rivka wrote chapter 21, you guys, turning curses into blessings, discovering and embracing the gems our ancestors are giving us. And I journaled with your tool, Rivka, and had a couple of aha moments when I was writing a few things down about what was upsetting me. I wasn't using my parents, I was actually using my kids as examples of what things were up for me that were really getting me going, and why I was feeling so much frustration inside of that. And I just wanted you to know that I had a couple of wonderful awareness / healing / aha moments in the middle of it. Jen, I'm moving to you next. Tell us a little bit about this beautiful chapter you wrote.
Hello. Yes, I wrote chapter 23, Ancestral Power, Claiming Your Sacred Wisdom and Magic. And I love what you shared, Rivka, because for me, it is so much layering the work on top of each other. And as we shed the layers of the things that we don't like, the things that are blocking us, that are holding us back, as we're stripping that away piece by piece, what I found is that the power, the wisdom, and the magic has room to rise to the top. And that's what my chapter is all about. And it's been such a blessing for me on my own spiritual journey, the shamanic path of mine, that it's a magical quest to self-mastery. And by doing this work, I'm not doing it just for me, I'm doing it for my children and my children's children and their children's children. And those of us that are brave and courageous enough to dig in and actually understand our lineage, understand what our people went through, it helps us understand and identify and have self-realization. And for me, that has just been expansive on so many levels. And it's allowed me to claim the sacred medicine within my own family. And not just this lifetime, but many lifetimes, and helping me understand why we do the things that we do, how we do the things that we do that didn't make sense before I delved into this work. And I agree. I wish I would have learned a lot earlier in life. I'm 48 years old now, and really trying to share this with all generations, including my son, helping him understand, even at a young age, where he comes from, why he does the things he does, so that he can be empowered by it instead of blocked or held back from pieces of it. I think when we understand, then we can wink and smile at it and move forward. And that's what I want for everybody that reads this chapter. I want you to understand and then claim the wisdom and magic from it, and really honor those pieces of your lineage, so that as you move forward, we're showing gratitude, even as we're letting go of all the grimy parts that we don't like, if that makes sense.
Definitely makes sense. I want you to share just a little bit about the tool that you're teaching in the chapter, Jen. And before you do that, I have to ask Elizabeth what the cat's name is. You guys realize that in these podcasts or in any healing Zoom room, all the animals show up. Like it's a regular thing. I love it. So for those of you who are not viewing us right now, who are just listening, just know that we actually have a fifth author with us today. What's the kitty's name?
Her name's Lacey, and she loves this ancestral stuff.
Of course she
really
does.
Interesting.
Of course. All right. So I just wanted to say hey to Lacey. Jen, talk about your tool for a minute.
Of course, now I just want to pet the cat. My tool is a simple ritual for ancestral wisdom and magic. And I take readers through a process to be able to tap in and connect with that energy, so that they can feel that love, that power, and that wisdom come through into their heart space. And I did this in a very easy way, because I want people to understand that it doesn't have to be hard. Anybody can do this at any time. And it's so simple. And when you feel that, you feel the embrace and strength of these massive people that got our backs. This is our team. This is our, it's our alliance of helpers, and they're there and they want to help us do this work. They don't want us to carry the baggage. And yet most of us hang on so tight that our knuckles are turning white. So by tapping in, it helps us claim the best pieces of our lineage and be able to release and surrender the rest.
I love that. Thank you, Jen. James, I'm going to move to you next. Tell us about this chapter that you wrote.
Part of the chapter was a personal journey, and it came in a time in my life when I was having a hard time. And one of the things that I was having a hard time was this connection that I had to my ancestors, even understanding that. And to just give a little context, about a year before this happened, the story that I wrote in the chapter, I came back to Hawaii and went to a family reunion and got handed a book that had a cousin had done our genealogy, and she gave it was 16 generations of our family back in Hawaii. And it confirmed for me a couple of different things. One is that the spirit animal in my family has been the owl for many generations. And I've always been attached to that. And I even have it, as part of me now. And there was this not wanting to connect, just like Rivka, not wanting to connect to that or not knowing how. And so in this process in the book, it was this place of them stepping up, and that the message, which was really powerful, and I think all of us bring this message to this book, is that there is wisdom there. And they basically said it to me straight up. We want you to have our wisdom, but not carry our pain, because our pain is not your pain. Our pain is not your pain, and you're not responsible for carrying it anymore. So it was an invitation for me to let go of that. So that was why it was so powerful. When I got asked to do the collaboration, I automatically knew which story it was going to be. For me, in some ways, it was the challenge of how to make the tool accessible and easy.
And you did that. Tell us a little bit more about that tool.
Well, that, the tool, again, we all work through that divine connection, and there are things that come through, and I know Jen does this, and I know all of you do this. You even do this, Laura, where there are things that, and all of a sudden you're just saying stuff, and there's a part that goes, shit, what did I just say?
Totally.
And one of the things that I've learned to do is to stop questioning that part. And so when this ceremony came through, and I did this about 7 years ago with a client, and I was struggling to figure out how I was going to help her. And then all of a sudden it was like this is like, and I called it the giving back ceremony, because it was giving back all the pieces and the things that we're not supposed to carry anymore. So, and it's pretty simple, and yet it's pretty profound. So I'm hoping that everybody has a chance to use it.
I'm remembering, and I'm not sure why, but this part of the scene of your story that I'm remembering is the rain. I know, like, well, why are you chuckling? Tell me more.
Because, we are so in resistance to things, and I know that the resistance and wanting to do everything perfect. So I wanted the perfect ceremony. I wanted the perfect timing. I wanted the perfect place, which is why I drove all day looking for the perfect place, right? And then finding the perfect place and realizing that the scene wasn't the way I had planned it. And it wasn't. It was the guidance. And I think the biggest piece inside of this book is us learning the guidance. Yeah, and having to sit in the rain and do the ceremony. And would I have planned it? Hell no, not that way. It would have been it would have been on top of a mountain, it would have been perfect. And it wasn't. And yet in the way that it showed up, it was perfection,
Yes, for sure. And you wrote that way. And I'll thank all of you for stepping up in such a powerful way to write your stories. But also, you all are master teachers, and you were able to teach the reader a beautiful tool in writing, which isn't as easy to do. You are with people one-on-one and live and online, and in all the ways you're doing it. And you do that all day long, right? But to kind of step up to the challenge of saying yes to getting that down in black and white in a way that the reader could receive it just as if they were with you.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I think that's the challenge, because for me, I've been a storyteller for a really long time. And when I first came into your world, Laura, it was like, how do I tell my stories in a way that the energy of it conveys to the paper? And so that's, if there was anything that I've learned in any place that I've grown as a person, is learning how to do that. So I want to thank you for that, because that's been a huge gift for me in my life. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. And all of you did it so beautifully. That's why I keep telling people these books are like these little magical toolkits, and even just touching one, you're going to have, this magical energy. You're going to start to feel it even as you look at the cover and the title, and you really read the names and you understand the power. So speaking of that power, Elizabeth, I can't wait to hear a little bit more about the chapter that you wrote. I want you to know before you go that I printed out your chapter when it was time to read and edit. And I took your tool to a really sacred place for me. I've got a place that I go for some downtime where, there aren't as many bright lights or Wi-Fi or all the things. And I was just so, I don't know, I felt the power of it. I'll just leave it there. I'll let you tell them the rest.
Thanks so much, Laura. My chapter's called Becoming a Transitional Character, Leveraging Your Ancestral Gifts to Heal Transgenerational Trauma. So what is a transitional character, right? A transitional character is a term coined by a man named Carlfred Broderick, who is in a single generation, someone changes the course of the entire lineage. Their contribution to humanity is to filter the destructiveness out of their heritage so that descendant generations will have a supportive foundation for building optimal and thriving lives. And I became one before I even knew there was a term. So my chapter is about, it's so interesting because each one of us has a touch point into each and every one of everyone else in this book. It's the coolest thing. And my background is my family on one side. The family's been in munitions for a few hundred years, and I remember being about 4 years old and kind of seeing this vision of the result of all that, and going, what am I doing in this family, right? And so anyway, I didn't like it, right? But little did I know at the time that was my mission, was to come and help transmute that energy. And so anyway, I talk about that in my story, and my tool is a tool that I learned in my own healing journey that helps to, again, as James talked about, release the burden of the past. And as Rivka and Jen talked about, to find the gift, that's why I say leverage, right? Leverage the gifts, to find the gift to help. It's really important to see what those gifts are, because they provide the momentum to do the releasing, right, of the hard stuff, right? So that's kind of my chapter in a nutshell. Also, my tool, by the way, is also, like James, really tricky to put on paper, because my tool is experiential. So it's really hard to describe, even for my websites. Like, what does an ancestral clearing teacher, practitioner do? It's really hard to find the words, because it's an experiential process. But
and that's what you all did so beautifully. And I want you to talk a little bit more about that tool. But what I want the listeners to understand is part of the mission of the books that are being published from Brave Healer Productions is to give those readers the story, which is healing in and of itself, but to take that one step further. I want you to know these master healers and trust them. And they are trailblazing with those authentic stories, but then they're going to step up and teach you one of these powerful tools that they use with their own clients. And when you guys read through, and it is difficult to put that in, on the pages, but you're going to find that they do it quite brilliantly. And you're also going to find places where they will connect with you after you've read the chapter, which is even more amazing that they're willing to be there. We've got some wonderful communities that you guys can step into to do that. So I just wanted to not forget to say that as part of the mission, is that you guys get to rub elbows with these beautiful authors, ask them questions, take it a step further, because you're going to want to after you read the chapters. Tell us a little bit more about that tool, Elizabeth.
Well, we bring in creator energy. So we ask, and you don't even have to believe in the creator to get help. The creator doesn't really care. It's just like, you don't have to believe in gravity for it to act on you, kind of like that. So we bring in, we just ask for help with the stuff that we're carrying from our lineage. And there's a little bit of a formula that's baked into the tool. And what's interesting is Laura's description of her experience with it is exactly what mine was the first time that I'm a scientist. You can't come to me with a bunch of words and say, you're going to have an effect. I'm like, what? But it had an effect. And it's like, I know something just happened. What just happened? And is it reproducible? And is it measurable? And does he teach it? And it was all yes, right? So words do have power, even when we read them silently. They have tremendous power when it's kind of put into a certain format. And, I'll just say from a yogic point of view, we say the tongue is the sword that cuts both ways, right? So words are a lot more powerful maybe than we realize.
Oh my gosh, yes. Yeah, I always say to something like that, a yes with an exclamation point. Did one of you want to add to that? I heard something. Yeah, James.
I think it's a thread that I saw inside of it, and she talked about it as watching that. And I wrote something down when she was talking, because what we all are in essence are pattern breakers. And so we create the space, and everybody in the chapter, there's a place where there was a pattern that we're breaking, and we're breaking the pattern of our past. And if there was there's a couple of themes that run through the book. It was that, and knowing that we chose this, and that was really hard place for people. And I think all of us talked about that in some way or another, is that we chose to be in this place. We chose that family to transcend all of that and to transmute that. So I think those are two really powerful keys, not just for who is here today, but for everybody that wrote that book.
What I love the most about authentic healers is they take responsibility for their place in those families. They have been practicing the awareness that allows somebody like James to say what you just heard. And this turns me on, you guys, because this is how we change the world. And Elizabeth's notion of being that transitional character, I always knew I was that. But reading your chapter was like, oh yeah, thank you for that reminder, because I'm going to step up today just a little bit with a little bit more confidence about it. I know that that's going to heal in both directions, the work I do today on myself. And it is so important. Oh my gosh, you guys, thank you all for being who you are. So James, I'm actually going to stick with you for this next question. Okay. So, and this, I'm going to get around to all of you with this, because this excites me, but I love understanding what else is possible in terms of healing. So I want you to talk to us about something that you realized was possible in terms of ancestors and healing.
I think the biggest gift for me was being able to learn how to listen to the information as it was wanting to be presented to me. And for years and years and years, it was like I heard them and I felt them, but I chose to ignore them. And so up until about maybe 25 years ago, I lived what I would consider a pretty unconscious life. I always knew that they were there, and I only thanked them when I got out of, when excuse my language, when you get in deep shit and you get out of it and you go, wow, how did that happen? And then you realize, well, there was guidance, there was divine guidance in there. And I laugh because I say, if I was a cat that had 9 lives, I think I got 8.5 lives gone and about a half a life left. So I know that over my lifetime, there's been that intervention, but it's that piece of going, because it's not just about ancestors, it's about my intuition. It's about the wisdom that is there, and we all do it, that gut feeling and the things that we feel, is there, and yet we don't pay attention to them. Somehow we discredit it. And if there's anything that we learn through all the chapters in the book, is to stop discrediting that connection.
Yes, oh my goodness, for sure. So Elizabeth, I'm going to move back to you for the same question. What have you learned? What did you start to learn was possible when you dove into ancestral kind of healing modalities?
Well, I'm gonna do a real 180 on everybody, but it was profound for me. I did all this work around, clearing the burden, right, of my ancestors, and the very probably the most recent profound work I did was about 2 summers ago. I sat with this question: Elizabeth, who would you be without the story of your family?
Love it.
And I was like, I have no idea. But it was a game changer energetically, just because it made me feel like I opened myself to a greater possibility. really fully to the field of consciousness for the first time. Whereas before I had carried, the story of my perception of the story of the family. This was a game changer for me. It may not be what you're looking for, but it was profound.
Oh my
for
gosh,
me.
that's going to show up as a Facebook graphic in like 2 minutes after this podcast with me around. I'm like writing down this question furiously. I love the big questions. And that is a big one.
I think that's brilliant. Yeah.
Definitely. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I'm in love with that one. Jen, how would you answer this question? What did you learn was possible?
There's so much I learned, but for time's sake, I'd say trusting the process throughout all of this and owning the power and wisdom that comes through for the purpose that it came through. And that's not always easy. For me, like this big ass vision kept coming through. And I'm like, you got the wrong girl. Like, it just seems so big and so bold. And I'm like, shit, you trust me too much, and they're nudging me and they're nudging me and they're nudging me. And finally I had to surrender into that. But that's by trusting the wisdom, trusting the power that I hold within this lineage and within myself. It takes a lot of courage to do this work. And I think we're rewarded greatly when we step up to that call, but it does require trusting the process, which more times than not doesn't make any damn sense. It's just, the things that I've been led to do, when I trust them, you get these big, huge aha moments, but I don't understand necessarily why I'm doing it when they're leading me to do it. It might be call this person, pay for that person's coffee, whatever it may be, these little tiny divine clues that lead to these really big, grand aha moments.
You said something else that I love just now. You said trust the process, but then you said trust the power you feel.
Yes.
And I think I may have been second guessing that piece of it. I understand the process, trust my gut, my intuition, but the power that started to come through, it was like another level of it.
Well, because as we do this work, I feel that we let go, we surrender. That's the work. But as we do that, our natural gifts and talents also rise to the occasion. And being able to really, truly trust the power we have without pushing it away. Because I think most people are scared of their own fierceness. We're scared of being big. A lot of us women were told, be quiet, be the good girl. Shh, don't be so opinionated. Don't be so bossy, whatever the case may be. Whereas my divine guidance is telling me, no, go big, go strong, make noise, take up space. So I had to trust that was going to be safe, that it's safe to be me, and that there was great purpose in me following that wisdom, and all the lives that we have changed, all of us in this book, how many lives we have changed because we trusted what scared the shit out of us.
Oh my goodness. Awesomeness. Rivka, what did you learn was possible through learning more about your ancestors?
I'm sitting here jumping on my chair because I really want to share this. Like, it's such an amazing question, because what I never thought would be possible is the idea, and James alluded to it, is that we chose our parents. And that would be another story that I can tell you, but we chose our parents and we picked them out. And I see this I have this whole vision about that. And so there are certain things that say you have to deal with jealousy. So you're going to end up with people that are triggering all that jealousy. And what I saw happening, and it was amazing, it went like this, like so fast, that the minute that I dealt with whatever it was that I had to deal with, the other person didn't have to show that to me anymore. So they could let go of that trait, let's say being jealous. It's just an example. They didn't have to be jealous anymore because you release them from their job because you finally got it. So the minute you understand what the other person is showing you, they don't have to show that to you anymore. And so they become like, you help them also to become better people, which is like, it was so amazing. And I saw it happening in front of my eyes. It is so powerful, beautiful, because then they don't have to do it's, I'm not even, I can go on and on about this because it is so powerful and so nice. Like I love that. I love that.
Yes, oh my gosh, it's exciting. Release them from their job by healing the wound inside yourself.
Yes.
You help yourself and you help them, which
they don't have to be the nasty person anymore. They can become nicer. Isn't that amazing?
Yes.
I think it's beautiful.
Totally amazing. All right, you guys, let's move to another question. Jen, I'm going to start with you on this one. You all are teaching forms of awareness, and ancestral healing requires awareness. It requires a practice and a discipline, according to Laura. Awareness is important, and I would say foundational. It is the healing, right? Healing happens through awareness. So if we're interested in this juicy, full, vibrant life, we need to really talk about this. So Jen, tell me about awareness in terms of your own personal journey. How important is this? How did that play out for you?
First of all, I was living my life very unaware, which is why I appreciate the awareness so much. And I'm so grateful for all of the sensations and things that come through. For me, it's living an everyday ceremony. You've heard me say that before. It's being aware in all of the little moments, and I live my life in everyday ritual. So when I go get my morning coffee or tea, it's not habitual. It's me setting an intention and savoring those as sacred sips. And I'm drinking in whatever I want my intention for that morning to be. It may be that I'm going to speak more clearly to a particular client, or for a particular situation, or for a particular meeting, or just bringing that sacredness and stringing it throughout the entire day, instead of thinking that I have to carve out an hour to go into meditation, which is beautiful in its own right. But I'm a really busy woman. I'm go till I stop. And for me to be able to keep my cup full and to be more aware and live more consciously, I need to fold it into the everyday moments. It's in my laundry. It's when I mop my floor. It's when I brush my teeth. It's those everyday little things, but I layer them with my own little flavor of sacredness.
Yes. The best book I ever read on meditation was called True Meditation by Adia, Shanti. And he's basically saying that every single moment of life is an opportunity to meditate.
Yes. I feel like I'm living in a meditative state. I'm going through, do things trip me up? Absolutely. But I snap back now a lot quicker than I ever did before because of that awareness. I know what gets me out of balance. It doesn't mean I still don't fall out of balance. I just get back on much quicker now. I know how to redirect. And for me, that's where it's all out. To me, that's the goal. I don't think this has to be hard. I think people make it hard. But I think if we fold it into those little moments throughout the day, it makes life more fun.
Yeah, what are we doing if we can't have a little more fun, right? Elizabeth, talk to me about awareness.
Amen to what Jen just said. I would say two things just to underscore what she just said. I used to live in the past or the future, and I missed the present moment altogether, which is where healing happens. It can't happen anywhere else. The only thing I would add into this discussion, which was so powerful for me, is this teaching: relent complaint. Everything is a blessing, right? So coming at this thing is happening in front of me right now, it's a gift. No matter how much I don't like it or I don't prefer it, it's a gift. What's the gift, right? It shifts everything. Yeah.
Yes, that's a game changer. And we're talking about, in my world, I talk about body awareness and I talk about mind and thought awareness, and then integrating all of those awarenesses together so that you're in the moment, like Jen is talking about, and you can be in a really crappy moment like Elizabeth is talking about and just be like, ah, that's interesting. I wonder what gift this might bring, or I wonder what else is possible here, or I wonder what this is going to lead to, you know? And I try to add the humor in, seriously, and especially the really crappy days, because it just helps, right?
Yes.
Well, I love the laughter. It shifts energy so quickly.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, no doubt. Rivka, what would you add to this awareness conversation? How did that play out in your journey?
Well, I think a lot of things are said. And so it's, for me, it's the same as Jen says, it all comes down to having that awareness in every single moment. And it's the same what Elizabeth says, like if you are living in the moment, that doesn't mean in my brain, like I'm meditating when I was a teenager and I already was reading books about all the good stuff that we know. And I was very fortunate from a very, very young age that I understood that. And at that point, people couldn't handle that, especially where I lived in Belgium, there was no way. So I was kicked out all the time. And I'm very happy that I could come back now, knowing that whatever I did so far was true, like living in that moment and being happy for the moment and being aware of whatever is going on in your body. Like if you feel a tingle, there is a reason for that tingle. If you see something, there is a reason for what you see. If you speak words or you hear words, they have power. If you're thinking something, that is power, you know. And becoming aware of everything, becoming aware of your inside world more than your outside world, that helped me a lot. Like it's very easy to get tied up with the outside world, especially now with social media, and you go through it and you see a lot of things and it comes in and it comes in. But being aware of the fact that your inside world is telling you way more the way you see things outside. That's what's important. Like always going back to what's going on inside of you, because that's where you're going to get all the information. And we learn to do the opposite. Push through. You cannot fall. You have to, if you're exhausted, like, and I'm not saying you should be lazy, trust me, because there's always two sides to every story. But if you do it the right way and you listen to what's going on, I feel that enriched my whole life experience.
Yes. Oh my goodness. I love what you said, you know, don't be lazy. Like
again, like when I would say that, when I would say that to my kids would say, Mom, I'm so exhausted. I cannot move anymore. I'm sorry. I have to listen to my body. You know, they all turn it around. We have those. And I'm like, that's not what I'm talking about. That is not what it is. Sometimes you need to just push through. But if you are honest with yourself and you don't go into victim consciousness, that is where the power is, because you can all day long say it's too hard, it's too warm, it's too cold. Oh my God, I feel something here, I cannot do it. We're past that. We're past that stage. You take responsibility.
James, what would you add to this conversation about awareness?
I think everybody's made some really valid points about that space. And I love what Jen said, because something that I talk to people, I said, you meditate in the morning and you get into the space and then you walk out of your room and then your day is your day. And I said, why? Where you are inside of that space is who you become through your day. And then I wrote something down while everybody was talking, is this, where is my mind, right? And who is living my life, me or my mind, right? And the more we understand that and the more we shift that, I think, the more awareness we grow inside of us. And then I wrote something else down, is that, and what Rivka said is like, every time I react to something outside of me, what I'm literally doing is giving that my energy. And as soon as I give that my energy, then I'm not aware of myself, because my energy just went somewhere else. And so if I was going to add anything to the understanding of awareness, is to really start to understand how I'm showing up in the world.
It's beautiful. All right, you guys, I want to wrap up with one more question. We're going to go a little bit more rapid fire on this one. And I think this is important because this is going to be about what your practices are, but it also helps our listeners understand powerful ideas to take care of themselves. Okay. So, Elizabeth, I'm going to start with you on this last one. I truly believe that one of my jobs as a healer, healthcare practitioner, helper of the world, is to take exceptional care of myself so that I can serve from the overflow. So would you share just one part of your own self-care routine, maybe one of the most powerful things you do and why?
Love that question. The most powerful thing that I do every day is consciously breathe. Nice, long inhale and exhale and give myself space. And it's not forced. It's just a long, deep breath. There's no forcing it. There's just allowing and focusing in on it. And I'm going to tell you, that's a game changer in every moment, right? I feel a little bit of tension. I'm starting to contract, right? Just breathe and all of a sudden, right? So
Simple,
huge.
powerful, awesome. Elizabeth, tell everyone where they can find out more about you.
Oh, you can find me at elizabeth-kip.com. Got to put the dash in there. Elizabeth-kip.com. Thanks.
Super. I'll have you guys hooked up with those websites in the show notes, and Elizabeth's on all the social channels too, so you'll find her all over the place. Rivka, what's one powerful thing you do and why to take care of yourself?
It's an amazing question. I think that my most go-to tool is the heart-brain coherence meditation, which is called meditation, but it's not really a meditation. It is being aware, like what James says, whatever you are put your attention to, that's where whatever the energy flows. So I am a person who is in my head a lot. I'm thinking, and I'm not my thoughts. So I want to be my heart. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring my awareness to my heart, and that allows me to have heart and brain coherence, which makes me way more calm, way more like when I feel like I'm getting excited, I just touch my heart chakra, and then the energy goes there, and immediately I feel it sinking in, and it is just a simple touch, boom, and it's there. And it's something you can do when you wait in the supermarket and it doesn't go fast enough, and I get like anxiety, and then I just touch, and it sinks in, and I'm good to go. And it's something I learned a couple of years ago, and I'm using it like all day long, all the time, and it works really well.
Beautiful. Where can people find out more about you?
Just same thing, rivkamarkel.com.
All right. Awesome. Jen, what do you do? What's your magical juju like?
My magical juju. I love movement of energy. And for me, it's really, really simple. When things get really stressed, I have this rule with my son. Things get too much pressure in the house, we just yell dance break. And often that's in my kitchen, dancing with my dogs and my son, and we just get silly and goofy. But what it does is it raises the vibration in our house. It raises the vibration in our bodies, and it just feels good. Just to like, it's laughter, it's love, it's laughter, it's movement.
Oh, I love it. Where can people find out more about those dance parties?
Yeah, come on over. We got room. JenPSano.com.
Awesome. Thank you. James, last but not least, tell us about your magic self-care routine.
This is what I've learned to do for myself, is to be able to look in the mirror, or even as an awareness, and say, I love myself so much that I will do this. And it feels really uncomfortable in the beginning. And yet, as we put ourselves first, then you really are coming from an overfilled cup. And I think if there was any other thing that I would say about self-care, I would say to people, learn how to say no to things you don't want to do.
That's a biggie.
Yeah.
You guys, thank you so much. You all are amazing human beings, and I'm so honored to be playing in your playground and reading your beautiful words and tools. Listeners, The Ancestors Within launches into the world on May 4th. Be sure to join us for our live stream book launch party event on the Brave Badass Healers Facebook page, where all of our authors are going to be gathering to share their expertise and wisdom. And we're going to be doing some fun launch giveaways. You guys are going to find all of the information down below in the show notes. And of course, if you're listening to this recording after May 4th, that means our book is on Amazon already, and you should go right on over there and pick up your copy. The Facebook group for The Ancestors Within, for anybody who's interested in coming in and learning more about this, whether you've read the book yet or not, The Ancestors Within community on Facebook, you guys, will be happy to see you in there and chat with you a little bit about everything ancestral healing. So until next time, everybody, what if the thing you're still a little afraid to share is exactly the thing someone needs to hear to change or even save their life? It is time to be brave. Explore all the Brave Healer offerings for healers who are ready to share their brave words at bravehealer.com. Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
Bye, everyone.